Hi, my name is Toy Beasley, and I'm a winner. Welcome back to our Facebook page called Winner Circle Peers Facing Life Struggles. Facebook page is here to bring you encouragement and resources. A lot of people, when you get out of prison, you get out of treatment, we need resources, we need encouragement. So that's what this Facebook page is for tonight. So tonight, I got a guest speaker, Kardell Sims, all the way from Missouri. I'm gonna let him tell it, but I sent you guys a preview. He's gonna be talking about his new book, and he also is gonna be talking about coming from a felon, an inmate, a convict to inspiration. So that being said, at the end also I'm gonna talk about our Winner Circle Zoom that we have on Saturday nights from 7 to 8. Other than that, Kardell, take it off.
What's going on? I appreciate you for having me on. My name is Kardell Sims. I'm from Missouri. My story, I grew up in an impoverished neighborhood. My mother was young. She wasn't nothing but 16 years older than me. So I had a young mother who became addicted to crack. And so my father wasn't nowhere around as well. So he exited. I can't tell you when he left. He just wasn't ever there. And so I learned how to hustle at an early age, and I adapted this mindset that I was a product of my environment. So this mindset got me in a few troubles, and I ended up going to juvenile detention centers, which led me into foster homes. While I was in a foster home, I learned how to play basketball real good. And them skills carried me to college, but I still had this certain mentality that I was a product of my environment. And so while in college, I wasn't doing the normal thing that the student athlete was doing. Like I was selling drugs, I was robbing people, I was using drugs, but the only thing I was doing was playing basketball and go to class here and there. So I don't know how I made it to 4 years of college, but I did. But the mentality led me right back at home in the same environment that I grew up in, selling drugs, selling crack. So I caught my first drug case. I got probation. Like a few months after that first drug case, I caught another drug case and gun case. Took it to trial, ended up getting sentenced to a 7-year and a 12-year sentence, ran consecutively. We call it running wild. What that means is I had to do the 7-year sentence first. Then when I was done with that, I had to turn around and do the 12. So I was going into the Missouri Department of Corrections with a total of 19 years. Got to Missouri Department of Corrections. First thing I heard off the bus was leave your dreams, hopes, and your aspirations behind. And that's what I did. I didn't have any anyway, but I went to the Department of Corrections thinking that I'm going to solidify my manhood, because that was the belief that we had in the community and the environment that I raised up in. Like, you go to prison, that solidifies, that makes you a man, that solidifies your manhood. You get this certain respect about yourself. So while I was in the Missouri Department of Corrections, I didn't do nothing. Play basketball, drink coffee, smoke black and mild, sit on the yard and just kick the bobo, talk about which rapper had the most money, which girl looked good in what magazine, what my homies was doing out in the streets, what I was doing out on the streets. And before I knew it, they passed the Senate bill in Missouri that cut drug cases time in half. So I was up for immediate parole, because this is probably like my 4th or 5th year. And I was up for immediate parole hearing. So I went to my parole hearing. Had to be the fastest parole hearing in history. I went in there. They said, Mr. Sims, you are part of the problem. You got a few more years with us. What do you think about institutional drug and behavior treatment? I said, I'll take the behavior and drug treatment, because I knew it would cut my time back some. Because you get out, you get released kind of early once you complete the program, if you complete the program. So I did the drug and treatment program. I got out about a year early. When I got out, as I said before, I didn't do nothing the whole time I was locked up. So I got out about almost 6 years. I went right back to the same environment, hung around the same people, had the same mindset, went back doing the same thing, selling the same drugs. So the recidivism rate say 68.4% of people who get out within 3 years, they return. Within 2 years, I was rearrested for selling crack. So I found myself sitting in the county jail. I ended up beating that case on the technicality. So I was released, and I went right back doing the same thing. And I know some of y'all like, man, this is crazy. This is wild. But that was my addiction. Street life, fast money, and everything. That was my addiction. And so I went right back doing the same thing. I got a good 2-3 year run. no arrests. I'm still out there. I had no arrest or anything. And then all of a sudden, the federal government came and picked me and 31 other people up, all from my block, all from my neighborhood. They came and picked us up and hit us with conspiracy charges and gang activity charges. So when I walk into the federal courthouse, when they picked me up, I'm not knowing that they picked up everybody else. So when I walk into the federal courthouse, into the holding cells, and I walk in there, I see everybody that I hustled with, everybody I was on the block with, almost everybody from my gang. So I'm like, man. So they take us to the courtroom and they give us our indictment papers. Now, it got the charges on the indictment papers, but that wasn't what I was really tripping off of. What I was tripping off of, the fact that it's had my name versus the United States of America. And when I was looking at that, I'm like, the United States of America, I knew that this was for real. Like, it's not the state of Missouri. It's not the county of the Pettis that I was in. I'm versus the United States of America, the whole country, the whole nation. So I'm like, man, something got to change. So while fighting the case, is one day I was sitting in my cell and I'm just asking myself, like, why do I keep ending up in these situations? I done spent most of my 20s locked up. Now here it is, I'm in my 30s, and I'm about to spend most of my 30s locked up. And then it just hit me like I was the first victim of my own actions. And from that point on, I made a commitment to myself, an oath to myself, that I'm going to do whatever I can that's in my power to not come back to prison. And the first thing I had to do was just change my whole mindset. So I started reading different type of books. Instead of the hood novels, I started reading How to Start Business, Knowledge of Self, Seed of the Soul, Super Rich, Business Laws. Just a lot of different, this type of material that was sharpening my mind, that was sharpening me. And so I started making plans. So once I was sentenced, I went to Leavenworth, United States Penitentiary, Leavenworth, Kansas. So while in Leavenworth, everybody else had their picture boards of family, cars, and all this. Well, my picture board was a vision board. I made a vision board of what I wanted my life to be like once I got out. So every day I started working towards that. I started writing down goals, started writing down plans, started writing down ideas of what I was going to do when I got out. So when it was up for me to get out, only thing I had in my name was 4 of them brown legal folders that you put all your paperwork in. But in them paperwork was just plans, goals, ideas, and thoughts. And so I went to the Federal Halfway House in Springfield, Missouri. And during that time in the halfway house, I started taking life coaching classes. I ended up getting a diploma in life coaching, kept going, ended up getting becoming a master certified empowerment life coach. I typed up a few books. And then once I got out the halfway house, I started my own company, Visionary Hustler LLC, where I was going to be a goal setting empowerment coach. All of this was written down in what I left prison with. Like, this didn't happen when I got out. This was part of the plan. So I was just sticking to the script. So once I started my own company, I started hosting my own speaking engagement, my own seminars. There I was selling books and shirts at my things that I was hosting. Next thing you know, people was loving my story, and then they just started booking me to speak, started, wanted me to come in and talk to people that was on probation and parole, teaching certain classes. And that's when I started a nonprofit organization a little bit afterwards that was geared to rebuilding the neighborhood that I come from, that I was destroyed when I was out there in the streets. And so within the nonprofit, I started the felon reentry education, where I started working with guys getting out of prison, started challenging their beliefs, prioritizing what they value, teaching them how to raise their expectations for themselves, and finding them with the resources and stuff that they need in order to make a successful transition and be successful. Being successful to me is not just walking down your probation or parole. It's never going back to prison again. And I knew the best way to show them was for me actually doing that. So that's where I'm at right now. That's what I do.
Awesome. So when you talk about, so that's basically what led you to being a felon, an inmate, the convict, to inspiration.
Yeah, that's what led me. Them steps. First, I became a felon, and I became an inmate. But in prison, you become an inmate, and then when you get caught up in the prison life, you're a convict. So I came out of convict, and that's what kept leading me going back and forth to prison. And so once I started challenging my beliefs, and started prioritizing what I value and started raising the expectation for myself, then that started to change for me, going from the convict to the inspiration.
I'm glad you said that because, I paroled from TAM's work camp here in Illinois, February 1999. And one of the things, I'm glad you talked about vision board. One of the things I set was a vision board. And one of my visions was I wanted to come out and come back inside the prisons and be a motivational speaker to show men that, this hustle life, this get over spirit, this thing wasn't worth it. And I also wanted to be a substance abuse counselor. I wanted to better go back into a substance abuse treatment center as a counselor to let them know that, you can be successful. You can work with these people. So I'm glad you said that, because I had a vision board too. And sometimes, a lot of guys, when they get out, they're not educated. They don't know how to deal with their trauma.
Right.
You talked about the books you read, the people you was with, the people you hung out with. A lot of guys that's in and out of prison, when they're in prison, they hang around those guys that get them caught up. And sometimes when you get caught up like that, you go back out and do the same thing. That's what Winter Circle is all about. Winter Circle is all about helping guys that get out of the institution to help them transform. Winter Circle is peer led, where individuals, when they come outside the prison, they can be a part of the Winter Circle. And when they're inside, it's called Winter Circle. So the whole key is to get those guys to come from an inner circle to a Winter Circle. Because a lot of guys, they want a support group, but when you get to talking about AANA, church service, a lot of guys don't want to go there.
Yeah.
So, they, even though these guys struggle with drugs and alcohol, they have a struggle of admitting that. And so that's how this Winter Circle was created. This Winter Circle was created for men to get out to talk about life struggles. Anything they're dealing with, they can come there and talk about baby mama issues, issues with employment. But the main thing at these Winter Circles we have is to have a support table set up. So it's like one-stop shop, And so that's what I think is the biggest struggle, is that men don't get involved in peer support when they get out. When you got out, you was at it. You had goals, you had that. And so when you have men like you to go inside these places to help them to show them that there's life after situations, they can be very productive. So your book, highlight some keys in your book that really inspired you. I know, it's coming out, but talk about that convict to inspiration and highlight the things in your new book.
Like I said earlier, one of the things I talk about in my books is challenging your beliefs. I grew up in an environment where the belief was you had to go to prison to solidify your manhood, or the belief is I'm a product of my environment. This is the life for me. This is the life that is always going to be for me. I don't know nothing else. And I had to break that. I had to break that belief. I had to start challenging that belief. Like one of the stories I tell in the book is I had a friend of mine that called me from prison. I tell the story all the time. He called me from prison. We was on the same federal case. He's on his way home. He called me to let me know that he was on his way home. And I asked him, what are you going to do when you get out? He said, what do you mean? I'm going to get right to it. This is the only life I know. My mom left me. My daddy sell weed. My other uncle sold drugs. That's what they taught me. This is the only life I know. And I asked him, you really believe that? He said, yeah, I believe that. And I said, belief is perhaps what we think is the truth. It doesn't mean it's the truth. It don't hold no weight, no merit. It's what we perhaps think is the truth. And I said, look around at how many people that we knew that grew up in the same community that we're in. Some of them even lost their mother. Some of them didn't have no mother or no dad, but they never turned to the streets. They never did anything illegal as criminal-wise that's going to get them locked up. They worked hard. They educated themselves. They had a vision, and they got up out of the environment that we grew up in. I said, they're not a product of their environment. I said, their footprints, then the moves that they made should be a blueprint for you to follow. And that shows you faith. And faith is they knowing that they're not a product of their environment. And they grew up in the same environment that we grew up in. So you have faith that you know that you're not a product of your environment. It's a difference between what you think and what you know. And what I know is that we're not a product of our environment if we apply these certain values and principles to our life. that they used. They worked hard, they educated themselves, they got out. I said, you need to think about that. I want you to go back to your cell and think about the people that you know that made it out of the same environment that we grew up in, that didn't go to prison, and they worked hard and they made it out and they living nice and comfortable. They ain't got to worry about jail or anything. I said, once you figure out what they did, then you started doing that. You started educating yourself. You started developing a vision, a positive attitude. You start building on that, and then that becomes fruition. Belief is perhaps what we think is the truth. Faith is what we know to be the truth. Fruition is us being that truth. I'm out here being and showing that you're not a product of your environment if you apply certain things and change your mindset. And then I hung up on him. I left him with that to think about. Ain't nothing worse than being in prison than being hung up on. You know, me and you both know that. So I hung up on him because I know that hang up will have him in his feelings. But I want him to be in his feelings and think about what I told him. And so he called me back the next day. He said, "Well, I'm mad at you for hanging up on me, but what you said was right. And I really thought about it. And so now our conversations are different, you know." And that's just one of the examples of challenging your beliefs. You know, a lot of people out there got these certain beliefs that they hold on to, and it don't hold no merit. It's not necessarily the truth. So you got to figure out what is the truth, and you got to have that faith. It's like, even if you're a business owner, you don't go to an employer to get a customer and say, "I think my product works." You know, no, I know. You know, just like when people come to me and they want the felony entry education, I don't say, "I think what I got to offer is going to help them." No, I know it's going to help them. How do I know it's going to help them? Because this is what got me in the position that I'm in, and it got other people in the position that they're in, that they're not have to worry about going back to prison. So challenging your beliefs is one of the biggest things that I really stress, and it's in the book.
You know, when you talk about challenging your beliefs, I think that's one of the main things that people struggle with, because all their lives, they're taught that this is the way of life. You was talking about how you called your friend, he tell you, I got to go out, I got to do my thing, and some people don't want to go through the process. You can't go from point A to point Z and then think that things going to change. You got to go through the alphabet. And I think sometimes guys don't want to grow like that. So when I got out of prison, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get that $50, $40, $30 an hour job. I knew it was going to be a process. And so I think that's what that thinking, that challenges come, is that they want that quick money. And sometimes that quick fix. And sometimes that quick fix will get you caught up. And so that it's the whole education part is that a lot of men don't want to find out who they are. And sometimes the men that is incarcerated, they had things that happened to them as a child that they never dealt with. And so now I'm getting out of prison, but I'm really stuck as a child. And so And so that's where that challenge comes in, and that's what some of the things that I had to do. And even working with some of these men, I had to begin them to look. You got to dig deep. It ain't this didn't just happen. It happened over a period of time. Yes, my dad wasn't there. Yes, my mom left. Yes, she did me wrong. Yes, they lied to me. But it ain't all about that. Sometimes men got to dig deep, and so that's why you got men are in and out of prison, because they're not digging deep. And so when you challenge that behavior and that cognitive thought to get them to be better, that's where the struggle's at. And so when they don't find that quick fix, guess what they do? Yeah. They go back to what they know.
Go right back to what they know. And that's where the recidivism starts. See, a lot of people think the recidivism only consists of you getting out of prison, reoffending and going back. Is recidivism, the definition of recidivism, one of them is a tendency to relapse to a previous condition or mode behavior. So when you don't get that, like you said, when you don't get that quick fix, then you go back to what you know. That's where the recidivism starts. There's where the problem starts. There's where you start taking the steps of going back. And because you don't challenge your beliefs and you don't get what you want, then it's like you saying, I'm better off in there than I am out here. Because we think we want it fast and we want it easy when you caught up in that lifestyle, fast and easy. So any challenges coming out of prison, you tend to relapse to that previous condition or more behavior. You tend to just give up. And so that's the most important. Like you said, when you're challenging, it's going to be beliefs. It's going to be things that you're going to challenge about yourself that you don't want to challenge about yourself, that you don't want to be the truth. You don't want to face the truth. You don't want to say, oh, my father wasn't around, and you came up with this thought and this idea because it was put on you that your father wasn't nothing, so you ain't gonna be nothing. And then you done been to prison, and so you got to challenge that. Like, you got to really dig deep and figure out why do you think that, and because how you think is how you're gonna act. And so that's the most important thing. That's why I say it's a challenge. It's not going to be easy. Like you said, you can't just go from A to Z. You got to go from A to B. You might be on B for a little bit. You might get C to D fast. Then it might take you another little bit to get to E. Like, you got to go through, you got to put this work in. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when it gets hard, just like we revert, I've been there. When it gets hard, they can't get that good job, or I'm working and making a little bit of nothing, and child support taking half of it. I can't do it. I might as well go to the streets and get this fast money, even though you already know the end results of it. But you don't want to deal with what the challenges that you're facing right now. So you take the easy way out, and now you back locked up.
That's true. Earlier today, you posted something on Facebook with somebody else, and they was talking about building infrastructure. You know what I'm talking about? And so when you talk about infrastructure, and that's a whole nother topic that we can talk about. But I think that sometimes we men and women that get out of institution, we don't build infrastructure around us.
Exactly.
And so what do I mean by infrastructure? Can you break that down for me, Kardell?
Like on the infrastructure around it's like who you surrounding yourself with.
Yes.
That's your infrastructure. Who are you surrounding yourself with? When the first time I got out of prison, I got out of county jail, I went back and surrounded myself with the same environment, same people selling drugs, gang banging, shootouts. So that's why I ended up in prison. Last time I got out of prison, I surrounded myself with business owners, people that have my best intentions, people that I value. And this is what I talk about this in my book as well. You have to prioritize what you value. You have to align your values with what you value. Like, I had certain values, commitment, and things like that I applied with the streets of what I valued at a certain time. So I was committed to the homies. I was dedicated to the block. I was working hard every day. But them values, I was putting it towards the wrong things. What I valued was wrong. So I had to figure out and prioritize what I value, align my values with them value, so that way I can be of value. Your infrastructure is what's going to make you be of value. Like, you have to surround yourself with people who got your best interest in hand. You value yourself, you're going to align yourself with people that's going to value as well. And if you value yourself, that means you're going to value your life. You're going to value your freedom, family, God, and all that comes first. And so now you're surrounding yourself with people that may be in your shoes, that made it out and is like a mentor to you. You in the business, you're going to surround yourself with people that are in business, faith communities, support groups, the people in NA, AA, sponsors. All these people are part of your infrastructure. You want to be successful. It's like I talk about utilizing your PO. You have a belief as a criminal, because I was a criminal and I've been to prison, that my PO ain't nothing but a babysitter. They ain't going to do nothing out there. They just want to send me back. But the reality is you have to utilize your PO. That's part of your infrastructure. Your PO going to have certain stipulations. These stipulations are going to say you got to have a job. We don't want you using, abusing alcohol and drugs. If you got a drug and alcohol problem, we recommend you to go to NA, AA. No hanging out late at night. No hanging around with convicted felons that ain't doing nothing. Them are the stipulations of your PO. Them should also be your expectations of yourself if you want to be successful and not go back to prison. Your parole officer stipulations and your expectations should be aligned. They should be meeting head to head. And you should be utilizing your PO to get to the resources, because they know where the resources is at. This is what I tell people when I work with the felon reentry. Utilize your PO. That's part of your infrastructure. They're going to send you to the NAAA group. That's part of your infrastructure. They're going to send you to the faith-based community That's part of your infrastructure.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
transportation. You need financial help. They're going to send you to these places, and these people you should be surrounding yourself with on a daily basis, one way or the other. Somebody in these areas, because it's going to guide you down the right path. Now, if you want a broken infrastructure, you want to build an infrastructure on sand, then go back to the people that you want to. You got to determine what people are your healthy relationships and what are your unhealthy. And those that are unhealthy and the relationships that are unhealthy, I don't care if it's your father, your brother, your mama, your sister, whatever. You have to be selfish in this transition. You're going to have to cut that off.
So, reason why I brought that up, because when you posted that video today about the guy talking about how business owners are talking about how in the midst of this pandemic of getting loans and getting PPP and all that stuff, most people didn't have their paperwork in order.
Right.
They didn't have their things in order. So when you ain't got your infrastructure in order for your business, it's just what? It's a hustle.
It's a hustle.
Same thing with your infrastructure, with your recovery, with your reentry. If you ain't got those things in place, it's a hustle. You're trying to hustle your parole agent. You try to hustle your counselor. You try to hustle your case manager. It's all a hustle. And when
all a hustle.
When we hustle, what happens when we try to hustle? It leads back to what?
It leads back going back that way. It leads going back to prison. And with the paperwork, like I tell people, like, even when I talk with families that got people incarcerated and they say, well, what do we need to do for them to get out? I tell them like this: reentry starts the first day of prison.
Yes.
Reentry starts the first day of prison. I came out with my paperwork. My paperwork was the goals, plans, ideas, everything that I was going to do, and what and who offered what in the area that I was going. I need a bus ticket. I know I need to talk to my counselor. I need a job, Rod. I had a certain person that would take me around to get applications interview. He ain't never been in trouble. He worked at a car dealership, and wear your seatbelt. He was that type of person. I ain't have to worry about it. I wasn't gonna have my cousin who was still on the block come pick me up from the halfway house, take me to go get no job. He could be riding dirty. We get pulled over, and then here I am in the car with him. He's dirty, and then I'm gone, but he wasn't part of my infrastructure. I had my paperwork.
Right.
This is what I'm gonna do, and these are the people I need to contact with. I know if I needed my ID, I had to get my birth certificate. I need a birth certificate. I got to have my social security card. So I made sure while inside, I had the person that I could trust, that I know was going to do it, was going to be able to put that in for me so they can mail it in and I can have it up on my release. So it'd be something that I don't have to worry about. So infrastructure is important.
It's very, your company is called Visionary Hustle LLC, right?
Yes.
You wrote something on your Facebook page, and I got to say this: is it under your Visionary Hustler? You say today's footprints is tomorrow's legacy. Manifest your vision so it can be a part of be the boss of your mission. And so sometimes, you gotta step out of there and make yourself accountable. You gotta be responsible for yourself. And a lot of guys don't understand is that sometimes they think that, yes, they hand you that paperwork when they got out. You hand it that. Now you got to take off with it. You got the resources. Now you got to take off with it. And so what I like about you with this quote you made for me is that, it's up to you to manifest you being your own boss, whether it's owning your own business, whether it's you're out volunteering somewhere. You can be your own boss. You can control you. But sometimes we don't allow ourselves to control ourselves for the lack of infrastructure.
Exactly.
So I wanted to say that because I like your title called Visionary Hustler. But through the midst of that, you got a vision behind it. So if your mission is to own your own business or get involved into a volunteer program, that's your vision. So I just want to quick talk about, and so audience, your viewers that's watching this, I'm gonna post a little small clip on how to order his book. As soon as I get off this podcast tonight, you'll better go right on and order his book right away. I already got mine ordered, so it should be on its way. So today, what are you doing today? I know you talked a lot about what are you doing today to stay sane? Because sometimes with COVID-19, it's a lot going on. I know some people say, you know what, this COVID-19 has helped me get closer to my vision, or I'm struggling. What have you been doing through the midst of COVID-19 with your reentry?
I mean, I stay on course. I've been staying on course. I mean, I know COVID-19 happened. I mean, but in today's, the way it's set up today is, it's hard to be stopping on something that you really want to get done. So even when COVID-19 hits, I still got boxes of shirts coming in for felons that getting out, because it's not stopping them from getting out. Matter of fact, they releasing prisoners early now because of COVID. So I still get boxes of shirt and clothes for people that get out of prison and need it for job interviews and stuff like that. So I'm gonna get that to you, because you're gonna need this to get a job. Yeah, companies are hiring still. People just been enjoying unemployment. They ain't been trying to go back to work, but companies is hiring still. So when you fresh out of jail, you want a job. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got the clothes, whatever. We got you with the clothes. I'm still doing my Zoom calls where people get in contact when we setting up Zoom calls. I'm still mentoring people that's getting out of prison through Zoom calls. I mean, I'm still out here. I'm still putting the work in. I can't let COVID stop me from what I'm doing, because I know every day for somebody, this is life or death. You know, it's life or death for me, and it's life or death for other people. I mean, then on top of that, I'm meeting people because I do some marketing and promotion for a home improvement company. So while I'm in the stores, I run across people, because I wear, my felony inspiration shirt sometimes. So people like, I like that shirt. My son, he's in prison. He's finna get out. Any advice? So I'm out there talking, I got my mask on, I'm being safe and everything, but I'm out there, man. I'm making it happen. You can't, this is just, you're going to have obstacles. One thing I know about getting out of prison, you're going to have obstacles in your way. You got to figure out a way to get around them, overcome them. Just like the COVID hit, everybody went virtual. So I've been on virtual speaking engagements. I've been on interviews, such like, it don't stop. The word don't stop. And then also with COVID, it allowed me to pick up some things that I needed to get done. And that's what a lot of people should have been doing during this sit-down stay, during this lockdown time, is everything that they've been procrastinating on, the stuff that they've been procrastinating on, they should have got it done. You should be coming out of COVID whenever it stopped, ahead of the game. There's no excuses. They're ahead of the game. You got to start focusing on results, eliminating excuses.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the ones that are currently watching and ones that watch later this podcast, you are in control. You can take your vision or whatever the situation is and run with it. You got to be responsible for your recovery. You got to be responsible for your reentry. Last thing, Kardell, I wanted you to talk about, you got a mentorship program. Can you share a little about that mentorship program, how people get connected to that?
Yeah, on my mentorship program, I call it free. Inmates, I call it what a lot of people say. Every time I say inmate, they think of people that's being locked up. Yeah, but anything that impacting you negatively, mentally, and takes energy from you, you're inmate to that situation. It's more people that are in prison that ain't physically incarcerated. If you understand what I'm saying, they're in prison to certain things. So one of my mentor just hit me up on Facebook right now, and I do Thursday nights. Not this Thursday because I'm on here, but every Thursday night, 7:30, we do a group on Zoom where we talk about if you got family members that's been in prison, or if you got a troubled teen that's not doing anything. I invite everybody. If you work with the agencies that work with people like that, I invite any and everybody on. There's no charge. And we go ahead and we talk, ask questions, and I give the best advice and through my experience that I can give you. Mentor through my nonprofit organization as well. I work with the youth bill. I mean, it's as easy as just getting in touch with me on Facebook or Instagram, or going to my website and just leaving a message. I respond to everything. I'm always willing to help and share my experiences and my knowledge.
Thank you. So I'm gonna have him at the end of this broadcast to send something to the Winner Circle Facebook page, and maybe you guys can get connected that way. I know I'm going to get connected next Thursday. I knew we were doing this today. So, Kardell, thank you. I appreciate your half hour, 45 minutes for coming on, talking about your vision, talking about the experience you went through. Sometimes, individuals need to hear what another person went through to get over that hump. There may be somebody that watching this broadcast now or may watch it later is dealing with some issues. They're struggling, they're battling within, because this is going to get in trouble. But I'm here to let you know that the battles you go through, whether getting out of prison, getting out of drug, alcohol treatment center, or just lonely, we go through that too. And that's why it's important. Recovery support is so important. So if you guys, every Saturday, and Kardell, you can jump on this Saturday if you're available. Every Saturday, we have a Winner Circle Zoom from 7 to 8. We got a flyer on the Facebook page. You can go.
The evening?
Huh?
In the evening?
In the evening.
Yeah, I mean, because I know, because I wouldn't be surprised in the morning, because we was talking about infrastructure, and one part of my infrastructure is Monday through Friday. I'm on a business Zoom call called the Morning Meetup.
Okay.
And we do this Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Central Time, so it'll be 8 a.m. on the Eastern. But yeah, we there, and that's part of my infrastructure as well. Man,
and you got to have those connections. Those things you involve. Remember, I just told you, before we came on this broadcast, I just got out of a call with Camilla, Central Illinois Men Against Domestic Violence. I'm part of a small support group like that. That's my infrastructure. And so a lot of people think that if I go to work and if I make $1, life is going to be good. No, it's not.
No,
People think that, and that's why Kardell, I express recovery support to being so important, because we can get that job, we can get that apartment, but how do we keep it?
Keep it, right.
How do you keep it?
I'll be able to add another part of my infrastructure for Saturday evenings now.
Yes. So go on my Facebook page. You probably seen me post about it. Jerry Cooper, she's our Winner Circle outreach president. She hosts it. Sometimes I'll be on there. Sometimes I don't. But most likely I'm gonna be on this Saturday and the Saturday after. But she's over it. So I love to introduce you to her. And talk to her so we can connect on that. So that being said, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me on.
Like I said, ladies and gentlemen that's on here, I'm gonna post that clip so you can order his book. I'm excited about it. He gave us some previews. It's gonna help you grow. That's what it's all about. The more resources we have, you can't get enough resources, right, Kardell?
No, you got to use all the resources that you can.
During this COVID, I didn't read probably 4 or 5 books. Yeah, I have never read that many books before. And it's great to read, to continue to educate yourself. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. We'll be talking probably over Facebook or a phone call. You got this platform anytime to come and talk about anything new that come up, anything you can do to help somebody through their reentry, through their recovery. All right.
Okay. Appreciate it.
God bless you.
God bless you.